Think about the last time someone completely shut you out. You got into an argument, or maybe you just made a minor mistake, and suddenly, nothing. They look right through you. They don't reply to your messages. They move around the house like you are made of glass. In that moment, a very specific agonizing feeling starts to creep up your chest. Your stomach drops, your heart rate spikes, and an overwhelming, desperate urge to fix things takes over your entire mind. We call it the silent treatment. And usually, we view it as a simple relationship issue, a childish way of expressing anger, or a passive-aggressive bid for control. But to your brain, silence isn't passive. It is a violent biological assault. Welcome back to Mind Cipher. Today, we are stepping back into the subconscious grid to decode the raw neuroscience of isolation. We are going to uncover the exact chemical cascade that triggers physical pain inside the brain of the ignored party, and the hidden psychological loop that turns a silent room into a weapon of mass manipulation. To truly understand the silent treatment, we have to look at our evolutionary software. For 99% of human history, belonging to a tribe wasn't a social luxury. It was your only defense against starvation, predators, and the elements. If the tribe decided to cast you out, you died. Because the stakes were so incredibly high, the human brain developed an incredibly sensitive early warning system designed to detect even the slightest hint of social rejection. When someone you care about intentionally ignores you, your brain does not register it as a disagreement. It registers it as an immediate threat to your survival. And it activates the exact same hardware it uses when you break a bone. Neuroscientists at UCLA discovered this using fMRI brain scans. They found that when an individual is subjected to social exclusion, a specific region of the brain lights up like a Christmas tree, the dorsal anterior cingulate cortex. Why does this matter? Because the dorsal anterior cingulate cortex is the exact same area of the brain that processes physical pain. When someone gives you the silent treatment, your brain cannot distinguish between an unanswered text and a physical blow to the chest. The pain you feel is not imaginary. It is a literal neural translation of tissue damage. And that is just the first domino to fall. Once the pain center activates, your brain assumes you are fighting for your life, triggering a devastating chemical flood. First, your amygdala orders your adrenal glands to release a massive wave of cortisol and adrenaline. Because there is no physical enemy to run from or fight against, these stress hormones have nowhere to go. They pool in your body, constricting your blood vessels, causing your stomach lining to tighten and disrupting your digestion. This is why being ignored gives you a literal physical ache in the pit of your stomach. But then, the chemistry takes an even darker, more addictive turn. When you are cut off, your brain experiences a sudden, catastrophic drop in dopamine and oxytocin, the chemicals of safety and connection. Your nervous system enters a state of acute chemical withdrawal. To fix this deficit, your brain shifts into a state of hyperfixation. It locks your focus onto the person who is ignoring you. You begin to obsessively check your phone, reread old conversations, and rehash every word you said. This isn't just anxiety. It is your brain frantically trying to find a way to get its next chemical hit of connection. By withholding their response, the person ignoring you inadvertently triggers a chemical obsession inside your mind, turning them into the sole controller of your nervous system's stability. This brings us to the ultimate paradox of the silent treatment. Why do people use it? Often, the person deploying the silence tells themselves they are doing it to avoid a fight. They say, "I'm just protecting my peace," or "I'm taking space." But as a researcher, we have to call it what it actually is: ostracism. True space-taking sounds like, "I am too angry to talk right now, I need 2 hours to cool down, but I love you and we will talk at 5 p.m. That establishes safety. The silent treatment, however, leaves the timeline blank. It intentionally creates a state of ambiguous threat. By leaving you in the dark, they force your mind to fill in the blanks with the worst possible scenarios. They are leaving me. I am worthless. I don't exist. It is the ultimate exercise of relational power. It forces you to compromise your own boundaries, apologize for things you didn't do, and beg for validation just to stop the chemical pain. So, how do we crack the cipher on this? How do you protect your nervous system when the room goes completely cold? First, you must recognize the biological trick. When the silence hits and your chest tightens, remind yourself, my brain is running an ancient tribal program. I am not in physical danger. My survival is not threatened. By labeling the physical reaction, you detach from the emotional panic. Second, refuse to play the script. The silent treatment relies entirely on your desperation to work. If you text 20 times, beg, or cry, you validate the weapon. You show them that silence works. Instead, match the space with calm, unshakable boundaries. State your position once, clearly. I want to resolve this when you are ready to speak, but I will not engage with silence. Then, turn your focus completely inward. Reclaim your dopamine by doing something that grounds your physical senses. Go for a run, talk to a friend, or immerse yourself in a creative task. Do not allow their silence to dictate your volume. The moment you stop begging for a response is the exact moment the weapon loses its edge. You cannot control someone else's maturity, but you can always protect your own peace. If this chapter sheds light on a quiet battle you've had to fight, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment about your experiences, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. I'm your investigator, and the human mind remains our greatest puzzle. See you in the next chapter.